Starting in January, our family is going to be doing a pantry challenge, which for us is going to be 2 to 3 months of no grocery shopping, depending on how long we can go. And in preparation for that, I did my biggest ever Azure Standard Haul. So I am going to explain a little bit more about the pantry challenge at the end of this video, but for right now, I just want to jump right into Azure Standard.
We actually picked up this Azure Standard order back at the end of November. It is about 430 pounds of food. And the intent is for this one order to last us 5 months at least. Total cost for this order was $1,063.65. So if you average that out, it's just over $200 a month for food, and I did get one other non-food item. My end goal is to be growing 90% of what we eat, but we aren't there yet, so this is some of what we buy to supplement what comes out of the garden, along with our own pasture-raised meats. My first choice, if I can't grow it myself, would always be to support a local farmer. But if I can't find what I need from a local farmer, then the next option I go to is Azure Standard, and I buy from Azure Standard because they have a huge selection of organic and natural foods that I cannot find anywhere else locally.
I'm starting over here with this one because this is frozen food and I need to get it in the freezer right away. So I got, I think this is 40 or 50 pounds of organic cranberries. What I do with these is usually I make cranberry sauce, I make cranberry applesauce, and this year I am going to make some cranberry apple juice just for the holidays. We don't normally drink a ton of juice, but around the holidays we do have some for like special occasions, and so I think this will be a good add-on for that. Ugh. Awkward, heavy, awkward. Oh, that's a little it's just barely two. There we go. Next up is these olives. These are the natural black olives. They taste so much better than the regular black olives that have like a really strong chemical aftertaste. And these don't have any of that stuff. It's just olives, water, and sea salt in these. And you can definitely taste the difference. I got 6 of these 1.5 pound bags of organic dark brown sugar. I have made my own dark brown sugar in the past, and sometimes I still do if I'm out of this, but it's just kind of nice sometimes to have things already done for you. And this is one of those things, when I found out that Azure had this, I went ahead and got it because I can't get the organic stuff locally at my store. I'm sure it's some sort of genetically modified something or other, so I really try and stay away from that and get this stuff instead. I have 12 of these organic coconut cream jars, and they're unsweetened. These are really nice if you're doing a dairy-free whipped cream. I still put them in the refrigerator and then take off the cream on the top, and there's still a tiny bit of the coconut water, but if you're doing like a regular coconut milk and you're trying to make a dairy-free whipped cream, then you get a lot more of the coconut water in there. So it's really nice to just have it in this form already. Next, I have raw sharp cheddar from grass-fed cows. This is in an 8-ounce brick. We usually get the bigger ones, but they were out this time. We are not getting our own dairy cow anytime soon, or maybe ever. If anything, I would just do the dairy sheep. Next, I have 2 of these organic mozzarella cheese bricks. They are 5 pounds each. Actually, this one's over 5 pounds, so 10 pounds total of the mozzarella cheese. We use this mostly for pizza. I've mentioned before, Cam makes a really good pizza, and the kids also like to make a cheesy breadstick for a snack all the time, so that is what this is for. This is organic pure lemon juice, not from concentrate. I buy this stuff specifically for canning because this is the only brand that I can find that says specifically on the jar that it is the full 5% acidity. When they ask you to use canned lemon juice, they assume that it is 5% acidity or more. I have 6 probiotic, 100% grass-fed whole milk yogurts. These are mostly for the kids because I don't eat too much dairy, but if I do eat dairy, if it's somewhat fermented, that's usually okay for me. We mix in some of our jams that we make into these, so these are the unsweetened yogurts, and then we can just kind of sweeten them to taste. This is organic probiotic cream cheese. I get this mostly just for fun. For the holidays, I find we use a lot more cream cheese during this time of year. I got 6 of those. After that, I have organic probiotic sour cream. This is also good stuff. So I have 6 jars of this unsweetened creamy peanut butter. I've never tried this brand before, but it looks good. I just got it from Azure because I was stocking up. I did not compare prices, so I'm not sure how it compares to what you can find at the store. However, I do know that at my local store, finding organic anything is quite difficult. These are soap nuts. I've never used these before, but I did hear about them and I thought it would be fun to try them. I use a natural laundry soap right now, but it's not great.
So I'm going to kind of talk over what I said here because it's been a couple months since we've had these and I want to give an update. What you do is you put the 4 soap nuts in the cloth bag provided, you tie it shut, and you put it into the machine with the laundry. So soap nuts are actually berries that grow mainly in India and Nepal. It says on the box they contain large quantities of saponin in their shells, which acts as a natural gentle detergent. We have hard water, and what I do for each laundry load is I put a little salt in each load to soften the water. So far they have been working really well. The only thing that we've had to watch out for is we are not used to them, so they were getting lost in the laundry, and we just kind of had to train the kids to make sure that they took out the bag every time they did a load of laundry.
So next I have a big box of these grapefruits. These are just for eating fresh. I'm not going to preserve them in any way. We just like to eat these, and these are organic, which I cannot find locally. I got a couple bags of this organic Calrose brown sprouted rice. This stuff tastes really good, and the thing I love about it is that it cooks as fast as a white rice. So I put this in my Instant Pot and I press the white rice setting and it's done in time. So because it has been sprouted before, it's able to cook a little bit faster and it's also easier on digestion. I got a big box of avocados. There is 70 in here because I am planning on preserving these for later. That's why I got so many, because we're not going to go grocery shopping for January, February, and March is the plan. So I want to make sure we have some avocados to eat because we really like them, and we're going to freeze dry these. I have 50 pounds of organic all-purpose flour, and this is unbleached. I have found a huge difference in organic all-purpose flour versus regular all-purpose flour when I am doing sourdough. Okay, 2 things left. I'm losing my voice, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up. I've got organic cane sugar, and this is a 25-pound bag. I have some in my food storage, but I like to have a certain amount on hand, and we just needed another bag of that. Plus, going into the holidays, we use a little bit more sugar than we normally do. And then I also got a 50-pound bag of bread flour, and this is whole white wheat bread flour. I have gotten their whole red wheat bread flour before, and it was good, but I wanted to try the white wheat.
Now we are going to put everything away into storage. We have a refrigerator outside in our garage, and that is where I store all of the dairy products. The shelf life of the cream cheese and the sour cream is about 2 months according to the packaging, but I've had it last way longer than that. The other option is I could switch them over to the freezer if it passes the expiration date and I want them to last several more months. The cheese, I don't really need to worry about it lasting a long time. As long as it's in refrigeration, it'll last an entire year just sealed in the packaging. All of our grains and the flour, I store those in 5-gallon buckets with the Gamma Seal lid on the top. Usually I am not storing that in a vacuum seal packaging just because I am not storing this long term. It is a short term thing.
Welcome to my cooking show. I'm channeling my inner Julia child. We have a bunch of avocados. We're gonna make guacamole and freeze dry the guacamole. It's the first time we're trying this. I think we got like 50 to 60 avocados.
Left, yeah. They came with 70. We ate a bunch already.
Yeah. So we got like maybe 50 avocados. We're just gonna cut them all up, mash them, make guacamole, and then freeze dry it.
We ended up making a very, very simple version of guacamole because we were planning on freeze drying this. Originally, I had planned on putting some chopped red onions into this guacamole, but I decided against it because I had recently had some freeze-dried, rehydrated red onions in a different dish, and they took a little bit longer to rehydrate. I didn't want them to be the slower thing to rehydrate between the avocado and the red onion, and I just wanted it to be more of like an instant guacamole where you just put it into the water and then bam, it like rehydrates instantly. And later on we can add in red onions if we want to. I can rehydrate freeze-dried onions separately, or I can use some of the red onions that we have still in storage. So what we put into this was a lot of lime juice and then salt and pepper, and that was it.
That's appetizing.
Yeah.
Avocados oxidize really easily when they're exposed to the air and turn brown, so we were spraying a lot of lime juice at every opportunity. Unfortunately, it didn't really work that well. It still kind of turned this darker green color on the top by the time we were sticking it into the freeze dryer. We decided to put the trays directly in there. We did not pre-freeze them for this batch, and it was a very long batch. It probably took 45 hours because we did the whole process inside the freeze dryer.
It doesn't matter. I think it... Or are you going to crush it into powder?
Originally, I had intended on blending this into a powder, but the baby was already in bed and we were trying to not be very loud. So Cam grabbed a plastic bag and he crushed up the avocado that way, and then we put it into the jars, and it worked just as well. Because we were planning on eating most of this in the next couple of months, we put the majority in mason jars and then we vacuum sealed them, and the rest of it we put into a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber.
For this part of the video, I'm just going to sit down and we're going to have a chat about what the Pantry Challenge is and all of the details surrounding it. It is put on by my friend Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead. What it is it's basically she goes January and February of no grocery shopping at all. But the caveat to that is that there is no rules to the challenge. So you can make your own rules. And for me, my rules are going to be no grocery shopping for January, February, and I'm hoping to do March as well. I am going to allow myself to purchase fruit. That is one weak point in our pantry, and my gardening right now is fruit. I do not have a lot of fruit that I grow myself. I do purchase quite a bit locally to preserve, but I never really feel like I have enough to go several months without purchasing fruit from the store. We do buy some citrus and things like that. Some of the reasons why it is good to do a pantry challenge is because it really helps you to see what you are using that you put up throughout the year. So all of the canned, frozen, freeze-dried, dehydrated, fermented foods that I preserved throughout the summer, I am able to see what are we using up first, what do we really like to eat, what are we not eating as much of, and then once I assess all of that, this would be at the end of the challenge, of course, then you can kind of see what you need to grow more of next year and what you need to grow less of. So you're making the most of the time that you have and you're not wasting as much food. My experience with a pantry challenge actually goes way back before Jessica even started her official challenge. My sister Amy has been doing a no grocery shopping month for about the same amount of time as Jessica, probably 10 years or so. And one of those years I was inspired by my sister Amy, and so I decided I was going to do this no grocery shopping month, and I had no idea how she did it. So I literally just went from like shopping, it was probably the end of November, and I decided I was going to go through January and not shop at all. I did no preparation shopping at all. I just went straight into it without any prep, without buying any additional foods. So my initial experience was very difficult because first of all, we did not have the garden size that we do now. The second thing is we did not have as much protein as we do now. We didn't do any of our own meats at that time. And it was kind of a shock because I had not prepared for it. So I was literally going out into my garden in the middle of January and getting off cabbage leaves of cabbages that were immature at the time and eating those as the vegetables because we did not have enough variety, and it wasn't like we were starving or anything, but it was just like a really difficult month of no grocery shopping because I hadn't prepared for it. So that was my first experience and my last experience, and now I am ready to do this again. Turns out Amy actually does prepare for her no grocery shopping month. My sister has done it so many years. I think she goes like 5 months now without going to the grocery store. I am ready to try this again. I'm joining in officially with the Three Rivers Challenge this time. I am doing some preparatory shopping, which is gonna help me out. So you saw I did the Azure Standard shopping. So that's gonna be a whole bunch better. And I'm also in a way better situation now. We have been able to grow all of our own vegetables year round for the last 4 years. So I'm feeling really a lot more confident than I did 8 years ago when I did my no grocery shopping month, and I feel pretty good about being able to go 3 months because regularly in the summer we're going maybe once a month to the grocery store, and so I have a little bit more experience now. We have a lot of food put up for this year. What I am going for this time around is to make it less of a sacrifice. So I'm making sure we have all of like the luxury foods that we normally do, which to me is like the dairy. I can live without dairy and my family can live without dairy. It's a luxury item for us, but they do enjoy it. So I did prepare by buying that in advance. I'm also going to be buying some things like tortilla chips. That's sort of a luxury item for us that we can totally live without, but my kids enjoy having that as a snack to eat with salsa. I am making sure we have some of those extra things throughout this pantry challenge so that my family is not mad at me or suffering at all during this time. Because we already don't go to the grocery store very much, I kind of know going into this, one of the things that we run out of very quickly, and it's not something you would think. So what it is fats. Things like oil, lard, butter, peanut butter, all of those things we go through so quickly because we're cooking so much from scratch, and it's just something that we use a lot of. So that is one thing that I know I have to have a pretty big supply of. We already have quite a bit of lard from our pigs, but I do purchase things like olive oil, coconut oil from the store, and like you saw in my Azure Standard order, I got some peanut butter. I actually thought that peanut butter would last through the whole pantry challenge, and here we are at the end of December, and we've gone through 3 jars of peanut butter in about 4 weeks. So I need to make sure I grab 6 more jars of peanut butter. I'm gonna do one last little grocery shop before the end of this month of all of our little luxury items that we need before we hop into the pantry challenge. One of the really nice things of us doing a pantry challenge is it's going to save us a lot of money because we will have less impulse buys and less purchases of things that we don't actually need. So I actually did spend a lot more than I normally would on an Azure Standard order. Like I said, that was my biggest ever Azure Standard order. I don't normally order that much at once. It is more spread out, like maybe every 2 months, instead of I'm planning on my next order being 5 months after my previous one. That will average out though over the course of several months, and our normal grocery budget is $450. We are really big budgeters, Cameron and I, and we pretty much stick to that every single month, with the exception of December, which we do normally go over that because we buy some fun things for Christmas. I should also mention the $450 we do not eat out very much, usually once a month for me and the kids. Cam eats out a little bit more than us because he works in town. That number does not include what we spend on food for the animals or any of my gardening supplies or any of that stuff. Now for what I am going to be sharing with you guys along the lines of the Pantry Challenge. So I actually have a lot going on right now outside in the garden. We are putting in the irrigation for the high tunnel. So I'm going to be flipping back and forth between a Pantry Challenge video and then back to probably a garden video or a garden prep video every other week or so. I don't really know how it's going to go, but I have a lot of both going on. So I'm going to try and share with you what I can from the Pantry Challenge. Things like what we make for snacks for the kids. That's something that I'm really looking forward to sharing with you because it's something we have quite a bit of experience with. I've done several videos in the past of meals. I don't really have a lot of new and interesting meals to share with you, but I will probably share a week of meals along the way. And I'm really looking forward to the creative aspect of doing a Pantry Challenge. It's always really fun to kind of get some new ideas of what to cook and what to make. I don't consider myself like a really awesome cook. I feel like my strength is more outside in the garden, and I really love that, but because I like to garden, I do a lot of cooking and preserving as well. So that's just kind of a cause and effect thing. Because I love gardening, I also cook a lot of food for my family, and it's something that's important to me to have a lot of good quality food and really tasty food, and to use that garden food that I grow. I will be sharing some of that with you guys. You can take it or leave it, intermixing that with some of the garden projects that we're doing over the next couple of months.